By now, frequent viewers of this channel will be familiar with the exploits of Nigel Richards, the undisputed greatest Scrabble player in the world. But just as Magnus Carlsen isn't actually the current world chess champion, Nigel also isn't the current world Scrabble champion. That honor belongs to David Eldar of Australia, the only other Scrabble player to have won the world championship more than once, and most players pick as the second best player in the world behind the GOAT. David is still very active on the tournament circuit, and at the recently concluded Australian Championship, his pathway to winning his fourth national title was far from guaranteed, with players like four-time overall winner and defending champion Naween Fernando in the mix. Headed into round 17 of the 24-game event, David was 2 games back of Naween in the standings, desperately needing a win to keep himself in the running. David starts the game with his top move of D-Wax for 48, and Naween answers with Bop for 23. Note that he could have played the same word 2 squares higher for 3 more points. By purposefully slotting it further down, he creates an S-hook and leaves the useful D and E open for 8-letter bingos, suggesting his other 4 tiles are bingo prone. David plays 2 from a clunky rack, and unsurprisingly, Naween plays a bingo with the first blank in his highest scoring spot. David sheds his V and scores solidly on the triple word score with Vire, while Naween is forced to dump off his Q. David connects on his draw and answers with Granite for 68, taking a small lead, but Naween's stylish 5-tile overlap of Meated draws him even once again. Next, David draws 2 S's and elects to cash one with Fraps for 35. Another viable option for him here is Ifs for 7 fewer points. This move keeps the more synergistic APRS and creates an S-hook in a new part of the board, increasing his odds of playing a bingo next turn. Neither Fraps nor Ifs would do anything to stop Naween's next move of Yellings for a whopping 98 points, hitting 2 double word scores. Suddenly down again, David can play Meow for 27 to cut into the deficit. He opts instead for the more aggressive Uma for 1 more point. This not only creates a flexible bingo lane for 7-letter words, but it also creates a very lucrative hook for the D or L, both of which can hook, forming Duma and Luma to reach the triple word score. Naween has neither of these letters. On the other hand, he does have the second blank, and he spots his only playable 7-letter word, Nuris, to push his lead to nearly 100 points. Just in time, David draws a D and immediately reaps the benefits of his aggressive choice, playing Fideist for 99 to surge back into the game. Naween immediately counters with his 3rd straight bingo to remain 1 step ahead. With open areas on the board dwindling, David eschews Hajj for 46 in the lower left and instead plays Hijab for 45 to create more space. Naween draws the Z and can answer with the simple Zo for 64. That move could allow disaster scenarios if David has a bingo with AL in it, so Naween falls back on a safer and more stylish option of Zebroid for 57. It's a beautiful play, blocking the A and B of Hijab, scoring extremely well, and leaving only 2 tiles in the bag. At this point, the game looks lost for David. The T of Legator is open, but unless David opens a second threat on this closed down board, Naween will simply block that spot on his next move and easily win. Moreover, if David attempts to open a new spot with something like Ho, perhaps attempting to draw the C to play Lucerne or Relucent, Naween will have other letters that hook and will score more than enough points to withstand a bingo. So, what does David do? He plays Fe for 18, opening the top row of the board for potential bingos. He can draw a few bingos there, including Nuclear, Unlearn, and Unravel. Still, after using 2 tiles, Naween will have full knowledge of David's rack, and he'll simply block the new spot. And even Unlearn, which plays in 2 spots, just won't score enough. There's one other bingo David can draw if he picks both of the remaining vowels, Aileron. And this is exactly what happens. David draws AO, putting Naween in a tricky spot with all consonants. Despite that, he's tracked correctly, sees that this word is on David's rack, and manages to block it anyway with the one-tile play of Woe. But this is where David's brilliant plan is revealed. His play of Fe was predicated on drawing the exact combo of AO all along, and with Aileron now blocked, he can instead play his winning out bingo of Myoneural for 80 points, collecting extra points from the tiles left on Naween's rack for a stunning comeback win. The crazy thing is, Naween actually still has a winning play here. Even if he somehow detects the full extent of David's plan, he can't actually block both bingos, thanks to his surplus of consonants. Instead, his winning move is Wiki through the Eye of Ajucia. Although it blocks Myoneural, it does absolutely nothing to block Aileron. What it does do is score just enough points and shed just enough high point tiles to squeak out the win anyway. If you don't see Myoneural, which very, very few players would, then blocking Aileron as Naween did makes perfect sense. It would lead to a much larger win for him, if not for Myoneural. David's odds of drawing AO weren't very good. With 9 tiles unseen, 2 of which were left in the bag, he had about a 1 in 36 chance of drawing these exact letters. But the fact that he found a play that gave him non-zero chances to win in such a grim situation is absolutely incredible. After David won this thriller, stealing victory from the jaws of defeat against his closest rival, he followed it up with wins in 6 of his last 7 games to come away with his 4th Australian title. The mark of a champion Scrabble player is not only to avoid simple mistakes, but also to find pathways to victory that other players would miss. David's talent for this was on full display during the World Championship finals last summer, identifying creative pathways to victory in several hopeless scenarios. And clearly, he hasn't lost his touch. If not for the otherworldly being we call Nigel Richards, David Eldar would likely be considered the world's strongest player. Games like this are the reason why.